Hey everybody, this is AJ Forbes with BarnBurner Sports. We got a really great guest today. It's a really good buddy of mine. His name is Matt Masker. He's a quarterback at the University of Nebraska right now. We've known each other for a long time. Just wanted to get him on. Uh, I feel like, obviously he's one of my good friends. We've known each other for a long time. I feel like he has a great story to tell, and I know a lot about his story, and I feel like it's one that a lot of people can learn from. So, Matt, I kind of introduced you a little bit there, but uh, introduce yourself.
Dude, AJ, yeah, thanks for having me, buddy. Yeah, for all the people that know AJ well, know of AJ, AJ and I met. We were on our official visits at Northwest Missouri State. Yeah, we were taking our visits there, and I had no idea. AJ and I had never met before. I'd kind of heard of him, obviously, because he's such a beast in high school. He still is a beast. But I heard of this AJ Forbes guy. And I met the guy, and we kind of instantly hit it off, even back in high school. And just a great guy. And when we found out that we were going to the same college, I was like, I want to room with this guy. So for all you that don't know, AJ and I were freshmen roommates together in the dorms. Couldn't have had a better roommate. Couldn't have chose a better man. But yeah, this is awesome, AJ. And this is cool that you got your own podcast now, and thanks for having me on. But yeah, so I guess my name's Matt Masker. I'm from Kearney, Nebraska. Sorry, that wasn't really much of an introduction of myself, but
That was
kind
great.
of wanted to share that a little bit.
That was great.
But yeah, I went to Kearney Catholic High School. I was born and raised in Kearney. It was always my dream to play college football, specifically for Nebraska, and got that opportunity as a senior in high school, and chose to walk on at Nebraska, and still there today. And so yeah, that's kind of how AJ and I know each other, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. So
Going back to that official visit at Northwest Missouri State, we both went to our host took us to a house, and we were both just kind of uncomfortable there. Like it was nothing about the Northwest Missouri State football program or nothing. We were just kind of both uncomfortable there, and we both happened to find a couch in the middle of the living room, and we just sat there for probably an hour just talking about who we were, because we had never met before. Like I had known you, like you said, you had known me. I had known you because you were the stud 2-time All-State quarterback at Kearney Catholic High School. This guy's he's a stud. Like he's a he I don't know how many Class C1 records you have. I don't know. What was it, total offense or total passing yards or what?
honestly, I don't even know. It's I don't know.
Yeah.
Pro-
And
but
that just shows you what this is honestly probably the best guy I've ever met in my life. And that's just kind of that just kind of shows you what kind of guy he is. This dude's a 2-time All-State quarterback. He has I don't know how many Class C1 records in the state of Nebraska, and he doesn't know anything about it. But yeah, so yeah, we both we were both All-State players in high school. We were both ranked in the top 10 players in the state of Nebraska coming, going into our senior years and stuff like that. But I know I have my story, but it kind of for as good as you were, it didn't seem like you were getting a whole lot of, not big time, because wherever you are is the big time. But from the public perception, it didn't look like you were getting a whole lot of big time looks. So what was that kind of like?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like I hadn't really even talked to a college coach about any type of recruiting deal until I was like end of my junior year, probably. And it was like the middle of my senior year. I think some D2s started offering, and it was cool. Like, I wasn't, by any means, I was not like a D1 or bus type of guy. I just wanted to find the right school for me, and in every aspect, as far as faith, academics, athletics. I wanted kind of the big picture to kind of fit together. And so, yeah, like, I started getting some D2 looks. There were some smaller D1 schools looking at me. Even a couple bigger Division I schools that were looking, and they just wouldn't really offer. And I would I went to Iowa State for a camp, went to UNI for a camp, went to Nebraska several times, went to K-State, South Dakota State, so many schools around the Midwest, just trying to put myself out there and, doing all that I can to be noticed and be seen by the coaches. But I think for some reason, they were kind of nervous about me being from a smaller school. So I always just kind of had a chip on my shoulder, trying to prove myself in high school, doing all that I can. And, a lot of quarterbacks are going to these rival camps and a lot of these things, and you got to be invited to those. And I never was invited to any of those. And so I was a kid that kind of grew up throwing in my backyard with my brothers and with my receivers in high school. I'd get them together and we'd go out to good old Miles Field that literally used to be a junkyard. It was literally our high school practice field used to be the town junkyard. So, sometimes at practice we'd pull out like a big old chain out of the dirt, be like, "Hey coach, look what I found. I found this chain from the 1940s, you throw it off to the side." And we'd have like a ditch on like our sideline.
Yeah, like a
But
little, got like a little hill in the end zone and everything like that.
Yeah, it was great. It was awesome. But I grew up just kind of doing my own thing, like just literally throwing routes every day with my high school receivers. I never got invited to any kind of big time camp like that, and it was just kind of hard to get my name out there. So I just kind of controlled what I could control every day, and I just worked as hard as I can in the weight room, and just kind of was the best leader I could possibly be every day on my high school football team. And eventually the rest kind of took care of itself. Like, I was by no means a big time recruit, getting a bunch of offers, but it all worked out in the end. And I wouldn't really trade my high school experience for anything in the world. It was just truly just it was awesome, just grinding with my brothers every day, and it was great. But yeah, didn't have too many offers. I didn't have a Division I offer, so
Yeah, and that's kind of where our stories parallel. I don't want to talk too much about myself here, but like we'll get to that. But like, what do you think it was? Do you think it was more so of the fact that you came out of Kearney Catholic, a smaller school? Do you think it was more so because of that, or do you think there was anything else that college coaches thought they saw? Because obviously, like I've had firsthand experience watching you play, and holy smokes, like, like I've had firsthand experience watching you play at the highest level. And what do you think that college coaches saw in you where they were like, "Oh yeah, he's worth a conversation, but we're ultimately not going to commit money to this kid"?
yeah, I think that had a lot to do with it. I was hurt for a lot of high school. Like, I had like patellar tendonitis all the time. I had like I tore my labrum in my hip back in high school, and running track. And then, there's some like times when I couldn't run like a 40 at camps and stuff, because of that. And, I think there's a lot of coaches that didn't think that I was very athletic, or didn't think that I had the speed to play at that level. Um, in which, maybe it might be rightfully so, because I didn't really, like run the ball a whole lot in high school because, and when you have, 46 guys in your class and, probably, 11 or I don't know, probably 15 of them play football, you don't really have like a whole lot of depth by any means.
Wow.
So, if when your starting quarterback gets hurt in high school, you got in a small school, it's like, well, it's kind of tough to have a season after that.
It's hard to have a successful
And
out
so,
every Friday when guys like you get hurt,
I don't blame, my head. I literally, I love my high school football coaches. They are literally like my fathers. And I would literally run through a wall for any of those guys, but I can't blame them for not, running me a whole lot in high school because, I needed to stay healthy. So I don't think that I didn't have very many running highlights on, there wasn't very many shots of me on film running the ball. And so I think a lot of people thought that I was just kind of a straight drop back guy that was pretty immobile. And I think it kind of turned a lot of people off. But
which
I,
which is the complete opposite.
which,
Actually,
it's, yeah. And that kind of even gave me a bigger chip on my shoulder because, I am very mobile and I'm fast and I can move. I'm not like a Lamar Jackson by any means, but
you're not a statue.
I can get away from guys when I need to and throw on the run. So I'll never know exactly why I never had a Division I offer, but it's just like that's where trusting in God and having faith comes in, and it's like we all have our stories, and I think it makes it even more special. It's kind of being the blue collar guys, the hardworking guys that just show up to work every day and grind because they know that they have to survive. So I'm so thankful for my story, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's like I was the kid that would blare Rocky music in the weight room because I had the underdog mentality, man. I was getting ready to fight Drago on Friday night,
Yeah, and kind of going off of what you were talking about with the chip on your shoulder. My recruiting story was, for obviously because we've had conversations about it, but for people listening, I was the top offensive media rankings, whatever. I was the top ranked offensive lineman in the state of Nebraska coming out of high school. And, I obviously, I had worked my butt off to get to that point. Like, weight room, film room, classroom, practice field, everything. Like I attacked everything. Like if I didn't do this, I wasn't going to get the shot that I knew I deserved. And so I would go to all these camps that you were talking to. I was smiling when you were listing off all those camps because all those camps were the ones that I also went to.
Yeah.
It was like, it was traveling all around the country, trying to find a fit, or a coach that was trying to give me an opportunity. And the real knock on me, it was, I was 6'2", and a lot of coaches looked at that, just looked at the rock. I was 6'2", 285 senior year of high school, and coaches looked at the 6'2" part and were like, that's not good enough. Regardless of what the film showed, and
too short.
Too short. Yeah. And so, and like, I'm not going to say the school, but I literally walked in to an O-line coach's office in the FCS, when I was during my high school recruiting process. And I had a great time at the visit. I thought they loved me. I go into the O-line coach's office and he sits me down. First thing he says, he was like, we love you. We think you have great film. We think your intangibles are great, but we're not going to offer you. And I'm just kind of sitting there just like, and he told me, if you were 6'4", we'd be having a different conversation right now. And so that was just kind of, I like, my high school coach was telling me that colleges were telling me, or telling him, that I was too short. And that's kind of the extent of how I knew that. But then I go into this guy's office, and he tells me straight to my face that we're not offering because we think you're too short. And, that's kind of, I think, and it astounds me, because you look in college programs and in the NFL, and you see guys that are my height or shorter, because they dominate.
Well,
And
because I have it in here.
exactly. And like, I never understood the measurement, the measurement aspect. Like, if you're a good football player, you're a good football player. If you can play,
If
you
you
can
can
play.
ball, you can ball.
You
Absolutely.
can ball, you can ball. Doesn't matter if you're 6 foot, doesn't matter if you're 6'5". I've knocked a lot of guys on their backs who have been 6'5", 6'6".
How about your strength? Did they look at that?
The funny thing is, the coaches would come into the weight room on, like, it'd be like heavy squat day or heavy bench day, and I'd be throwing up
5, 6 plates.
not in high school, but 5 plates, yeah. 6 plates, no. 5 plates, yeah. But I'd be squatting, and I'd be lifting, and I'd be benching and hand cleaning in front of all these coaches that are coming in, because the coach's office was right in the middle of, he's like right on the end of the weight room. And so I'll see coaches walk straight into the locker room or into the weight room and go to the coach's office, and they can see everybody in the weight room.
Of course.
And so I know they're seeing everything, but they just never got over the fact that I was 6'2". Which,
dude, you sharing that story, it reminds me of, like, I had a very, very similar story. I got invited. I won't say the school either, obviously, because they're all great guys. But I'd got invited up on a visit, and I was really fired up about it. Really thought I was going to get my first offer, and it was between me. So 2 quarterbacks were on a visit. I was one of them, and it was kind of between him and I. And I had a great time at the visit, and at the end of the visit, I got called into the offensive coordinator's room, and he got called into head coach's office. And so I walk in, he sits me down, and by the look on his face, I can kind of already tell that, I'm not going to get an offer. But he tells me, he's like, Matt, like, you got it all, dude. Like, on film, we loved your film, which I was honestly kind of shocked about that he said that. He's like, Matt, we love your film. You can make all the throws. We love how you can throw on the run. But you just bring the ball down a little bit too much in your motion. You kind of loop the ball. And, if you could just tighten that up just a little bit, just shorten your stroke a little bit, we would offer you if you just had a quicker motion through. And I was sitting back in this chair. I was like, is this guy being for real, or is he just thinking of an excuse of why they can't offer me today? Because it's like, well, coach, I mean, it's like, are you guys gonna coach me up if I come here, or are you just gonna, like, let me play and do my own thing? It's like, I mean, doesn't every high school kid getting recruited by colleges, don't they have some kind of technique that's not up to your standard?
I can tell you right now. I can tell you right now.
Yeah.
There were plays on my huddle highlight film. I did not get 2 steps in the ground before I made contact. Like,
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like,
the fact that he was so nitpicky about just, and that.
and it's like, obviously that doesn't even bother me today. Like,
Oh yeah.
It's almost just kind of shocking that's the reason that he gave me. But it's just kind of funny behind the scenes. Is like, that's really why, huh? Okay,
Yeah.
like, that's fine. On to the next, So
Yeah.
any high school guy that's out there that's being told all these things, like, don't get discouraged, man. Just keep grinding and do control. You can control every day, and everything's going to work out in the end. So,
yeah, and obviously, we went to Nebraska together. I was there for my first 2 years in college with Matt. We were roommates freshman year, and coming go and I went to the transfer portal. Ultimately, ended up at Montana, but it's like for 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 recruits coming out of high school, like if you'll be able to tell like who honestly believes in who you are as a player and not just kind of going off of what everybody else is doing, because it's like a guy will get an offer from one school and then another school within that same conference will offer just because the first school did. And it's for those recruits in high school, you really got to be able to do your homework on these schools and really have tough conversations with these or recruiting coordinators, head coaches, whatever. You have to be able to have the tough conversations with these guys, because it's it's tough when you're walking into a situation and you don't get what you expected out of it because you didn't ask those hard questions.
Absolutely.
And so
Yep.
that's just kind of my 2 cents on that.
Yep.
But yeah, so
Good times, man. Good times.
I know.
And not so good times.
Good times.
Both.
Yeah, let's talk about the good times and not so good times. So when you walk on at the University of Nebraska, kind of talk about, you're going in. What were your expectations as a freshman going into Nebraska as a walk on?
Yeah, dude. I think that we were in a really unique situation because, is our senior year was the year that Coach Frost came back, and it was a really exciting time in the state of Nebraska. And we were once we got we got the walk on offer, and dang, like it was a good walk on class, man. Like there was a lot of guys that this walk on class was, guys that I think every single one of them should have been a scholarship player somewhere else, Division 1. I'm talking FCS, FBS. Some ballers in this class, like talent.
I am on record somewhere. I am on record saying that if ESPN was ranking walk-on classes, our walk-on class by far would have been the number one.
Dude, talk about a deal. Like you're getting some dudes for free. Like it was
for free.
If I had seen a walk-on class, like it was a sweet class. And I was so fired up coming in with all these guys that, one, were talented, two, were hungry, guys that could ball. And I was so excited to get a play for Coach Frost coming in, and for Coach Verdu, and being your roommate coming in. There's so many things to be excited about. I think my situation was really unique too, because people probably think I'm crazy for this, but I literally didn't even meet Coach Verduzco until the day that I got there. So I had never even talked to the guy until the day that I got there. And maybe it was like that for the rest of the walk-ons, that maybe they'd never met their position coaches. I don't know about you, but
I don't think they did. I didn't either, because I think that's when Frost was flying back and forth from Florida trying to get everything set
up. So we met Coach Frost back in December of 2017 or whatever it was. And so, we all got to talk to him individually, and that was pretty dang cool. But, it's like we were all kind of walking in. It's like into we didn't really know what to expect, because, we all of us had something in our heads of, what we expected. But, none of us had really got to ask any of those tough questions to our coaches. But, I would say it's like, I don't think any of us really knew what to expect for one. I think all of us, no doubt, were super fired up and excited to be there. Um, but I mean, like, gosh, like walking on to Nebraska, like, it's every kid's dream that grows up in Nebraska to walk on here, just to play, get the opportunity in the first place. And I was the guy that said, like, this has been my dream. I'm going to chase it. It's not going to chase me back, you know? So I've always in life, I've always had the mentality of like betting on yourself, be confident, putting in the work, betting on yourself, and good things are going to turn out. And, obviously I haven't played in a game here at Nebraska yet. But I'm confident. I'm still confident in my ability to operate the offense and to, be in command of the offense and my leadership ability, and the ability that God has given me to play the quarterback position. I'm still very confident in that, and I believe that things are. I believe I will get my opportunity, because I think if you just continue to work hard every day and trust God, like things are going to work out for you. But yeah, like I can, sorry, to get back to your question, like it definitely wasn't anything that I was expecting, but I think that's college football in general. Like when you're in high school and you're playing ball, and you're anyone that's getting looked at to play college football, you're usually dominating in high school, and you're having a lot of success. And then when you get there and you're a little freshman and the game is going so fast, and you're just trying to just do your job right every single play. Just try to do the small things, and it's a win. Like, and now it's like going into my fourth year, it's like, I cannot believe that I was so worried about that. And so it's like every year, I think like the biggest jump of your life is going from senior year high school football to freshman year college football. I mean, there's nothing that can really prepare you for it. It's just something that you got to do, and it's going to be tough. It was one of the hardest years of my life for sure, because there's so much change and so much pressure. And but
so sorry, go ahead, finish up.
No, I was just gonna say, I'd say that year honestly was probably the year that I grew the most I've ever grown in my life, and literally in all areas of my life, because I was so forced to trust God, because there's so much trial and there's so much tribulation and so many things that we had to get through together as brothers. It's like, one, we're playing one of the hardest sports in the world, most physically, mentally, and we're like, two, we're walking on. So again, like we're already like got
we're
the
odds
odds
are
are
starting down here.
The odds are stacked against us. But the thing is, it's like, you got to ask yourself, like, do you want it more than the rest of the guys? And are you going to push the rest of the guys to be great? And I think, we definitely did. And I still do, is like continuing to push other guys to be great. That's what being a good teammate is, caring about the other guys and loving them. But anyway, continue on with what you were going to say. That's all I got.
Going off what you just said there. As walk-ons, earlier in the show, you were talking about how you were fighting to literally survive. As walk-ons, as a walk-on, you need to be able to express to coaches why you deserve to be where you are. And it's the fact that you were able to go out there and know that, sometimes you might get the short end of the stick and still be able to go into the weight room. Also, dude is jacked. Absolutely jacked. Literally looks like Tim Tebow. Okay.
No, that's because I was living with you, man. I was trying to keep up.
But it's just how, both of us, we knew that we weren't on scholarship, but we would be working out in the same weight room as guys that were, and we were able to push those guys, in the weight room, and then we'd go down to the practice field, and then we would any opportunity that we could get, we would go out and we would try to show those coaches why we deserved a jersey in the first place. And that's I think that's definitely one of the most, that year was definitely some of the hardest, just not, physically, whatever. Like, yeah, it's hard on your body. Yeah, you're working out a lot. Yeah, you're practicing with exceptional athletes all the time. But I think it was just the mental and emotional side of college football is very underlooked. And that was definitely, it's being in that situation is definitely mentally and emotionally draining.
Oh my
And
gosh, yeah.
that's what you were talking about, trusting God. And you made me a better man, because I had to shift my focus to be able to know that everything happens for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I just had to trust in that. And so I thank you for that. I don't know if I ever really got the chance to thank you for that, but that made a huge impact on my life, just to let you know. But
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you, buddy. I appreciate that.
yeah, for sure. But, everyone talks about the welcome to college football moment.
Yeah.
Mine was, it might have been like the second or third practice we ever had. And I got thrown in at right guard, coming in as a center. Got thrown in at right guard at one of the team periods. And I forget which Davis twin it was. It was
Oh yeah.
Carlos or Khalil. Both of them are draft picks.
Great.
And
Great.
and
Awesome.
snap, bulldozed straight back on my.
Yep.
Never been put on my back in my life until that
First
moment.
snap. Yeah.
That was my welcome to college football.
Good morning, sir.
So
Dude.
What was yours? What was your welcome to college football moment?
Dude, I think I have so many that it's hard to even just think of just pick one. But let me think here. I remember, getting invited to fall camp as a true freshman walk-on. Like, that was a big deal. Not everybody gets selected to that. There's only 105 guys or whatever that get picked, and I was fired up to be there.
Yeah.
But what I didn't realize is how much I didn't know. And playing this position, it's so just mentally demanding in all aspects. It was just unbelievable how fast the game was. You're going from, it's true, like playing Class C1 football to Division I football at the highest level you could possibly play at right now. It was a huge shift, dude. And I remember that I didn't even get the playbook until around the fall camp time. And so I was like, I knew the most basic things in the offense, most basic runs, basic passes. I didn't know how to read a defense barely. I didn't know who the heck I was supposed to key and read on any play. I thought I was going to be able to ease my way and think, I'll have time to learn this. Like, this is my first day here. It just takes time to learn this. But no, I was expected to know everything the first day I showed up, like everyone else did. And, it's like in high school, it's like, I didn't care where the corner was. I knew he had never seen an arm this strong, so I was going to throw it anyway. And it's like, it's like I had like a Brett Favre mentality in high school where I was just like, I'd drop back and I'd gun it. And more often times than not, it was 6 points,
Yeah.
And so it's just transitioning, especially as a quarterback, knowing that, maybe you had the strongest arm in high school. I could still make all the same throws, but they had to be so much faster. You couldn't sit back and wait. I had to throw it before the guy was open, and that was the thing that just took time. And I can't really think of a specific instance, but I couldn't believe how fast the game was. And that's just, it does take time to adapt to it. And just how much you have to be ahead mentally to have an advantage, and obviously I learned pretty dang quick after the first couple of practices, like, wow, I am ignorant and I don't know anything about football. So
I remember, uh, I remember kind of we would be in our dorm room in the suite, and we would literally take your dry erase markers, and we would go on the bathroom mirror.
Yep.
And I would be drawing up protections.
Oh, dude.
And you would be drawing up, patterns and formations, and then we would go from there. You would go on your whiteboard in our room, and you would roll through all the patterns, all the formations, all the runs, and you would ask me what my call would be here up front. Just so center quarterback communication is so huge.
Dude,
you would ask me what is expected of me, and I would ask what you would want in certain situations. That was, fall camp was,
dude,
that first fall camp was a rush.
PTSD, dude. Thinking about that. I would write all of my tempo calls and anything you could think of. I'd make a giant list of it on the bathroom mirror. Just boom, boom, boom. You couldn't even see yourself in the mirror by the time I was done writing on it. It was just, everything was covered. And it's like, I can't even explain how packed my brain was that fall camp. Like, I don't think I could pack anything else in my brain at that moment. But man, wow, what a crazy time.
I know
that every freshman goes through, but it's something that you can't explain until you go through it, and no one will ever understand unless you go through it. But there's nothing quite like it.
It feels like you're constantly scrambling.
Constantly you hear the horn.
Hear
the horn. Next period. Where am I going? And I see the rest of the quarterbacks jogging to the next station, and I'm like, all right, green jerseys. All right, here I go. Next period. That way.
Yeah.
We're the big dogs. Oh, we're in a team period right now. I thought it was indie period. Where are we going?
We're outside on the grass. Oh, we got to sprint from the indoor all the way out to the grass.
Dude, crazy.
So, I got a little brother, not a little brother. I do got a little brother, but my girlfriend Alyssa, you know Alyssa. I have a girlfriend. Her name's Alyssa. Everybody who's listening, her little brother has decided to walk on at the University of Nebraska. What is one thing that you would tell him and every other kid who decides to walk on anywhere? What's one thing that you would tell them before they get on campus?
Yeah, I would say just prepare to scratch and claw and fight every single day. It's really exciting, and there's a lot of things to look forward to, but there's going to be a lot of days when you're not going to want to do it anymore. And you got to ask yourself right now, how much do I love football? How confident am I in myself and my ability? How mentally tough am I? You got to ask yourself all these things, and dang, you got to be ready to prove yourself literally every single minute of every single day, because nothing is ever going to be given to you. And I know that's the way that we wanted, that's what we chose, is to literally prove yourself every day. And my advice to all those that are going to walk on, there's walk-ons at every single program. It's it's not for everybody, for sure. It's not, and you find out pretty quick the guys that are mentally in it, after that first year. Usually guys either they're all in or they quit, because a lot of guys just can't handle college football in general. So they find out pretty dang quick whether it's for them or not, but man, I would just say be prepared to grow immensely as a man, and you're gonna find out who you truly are. And if you're up for the challenge, man, go for it. But you heard it from me. Like, it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be something where you're gonna walk in and just be expected to, do your thing. Like, it's an uphill climb for sure. And yeah, so I wouldn't change my story for anything. And I'm so blessed and fortunate to have the opportunity to play here at Nebraska and to walk on here. But through the struggles and the trials that I have faced, it's made me into the man that I am today, and I'm thankful for all of them. So I guess you just got to ask yourself what you want out of your college football experience, because I've met so many incredible men, some of my best friends for life. You go through so much stuff with your brothers that, I mean, there's nothing that can ever break that bond ever. So yeah, I guess that's what I got. But
That's perfect.
Perfect. Man. How about you? What do you got?
That couldn't have said it any better myself. Honest to God. Like, I got this tattoo here, and it's a
I remember when you got that.
Yeah, so it's a wooden cross with a ribbon around it, wrapped around it, with part of a poem, and it's the part of the poem that's on the ribbon. Is once more into the fray. And I got this in college, and it for me, it symbolized the fact that I'm going to wake up once more into the fray. I'm going to go into whatever situation that I need to get into. And sometimes it's going to be hard. A lot of the times in college football, it is hard. And you just have to grind through it. And, that's something that's something that really stuck with me. And you said, what you said was perfect. Could not have said it any better myself.
Dude, you know what the coolest thing is about, like being a Christian, being Catholic, and going through so much, like trials and sufferings at times, like you get to turn that into a prayer. Like, it's not meaningless. The things that you go through, like, you get to offer that up. Like, I could say, like, I'm going through a bunch of stuff right now. I'm going through a bunch of pain, and maybe not getting treated the best or whatever it is. It's like, I can say, all right, like, I'm offering up this pain for AJ today. Like, I'm going to take this on, and I'm going to offer it up for my brother. I'm going to offer it up for my girlfriend, Hannah. I'm going to offer it up for my brother, John. Like, it's not meaningless. It's like, if I wasn't a Christian, like, I couldn't imagine going through all that stuff. Like, it'd be meaningless. Like, it'd be for nothing, and it's like, the cool thing is, it's like, we get to turn that into a prayer, and it's not meaningless. And so, like, those are, like, on the toughest days, like, I would think of someone, of like, who I'm going to offer up this pain for today, because I'm going to go through pain. I might as well turn it into a prayer.
It might as well be for something,
right? And so, like, I would think of someone, like, new every day, especially if I knew someone was going through something, and maybe they would never know that I was doing that. But it's like, well, crud, like, I'm going through all this stuff. It's like, well, I know it's not meaningless, And so I think I would suggest, to all Christian athletes out there, it's like, start doing that, start offering up your lifts and all the stuff that we have to go through. It's like, that suffering isn't meaningless as a Christian. So think of someone new every day, and it's like, turn that pain that you experience into a prayer. It's not just for yourself, getting in better shape or whatever. Like, I can't imagine, like, if I wasn't a Christian going through all that crap. Like, I couldn't get through it. I'm not strong enough. So, but anyway, I just felt like I felt like I should share that. So
yeah, that's perfect. We discussed it earlier. I know how much your faith means to you, and I know how much you helped me refocus how I view Because I've always been a very I've tried to live my life by a lot of Christian values, a lot,
Hmm.
the traditional Christian Catholic values. And, there was, that first year in college where everything was, I was just so mentally and emotionally drained. Having you with me helped me a lot to refocus that. And so, yeah, that was perfect. That was awesome.
Well, dude, like friendships and brotherhoods that are rooted in Christ, dude, they give life. It's like, waking up literally like in the same room as you every day, like, like having other brothers that are rooted in Christ, like that's life giving. It's like you need other men in your life like that to help you through the trials. Because let's be honest, like life isn't always going to be easy, and it's especially the life that we're living. It's oftentimes pretty dang challenging. So we need other men and to help us and get through those times. So it's important stuff.
Amen to that. Well, I think there's for all of you listening, there are so many good things to hear and listen in this show, in this episode. And so I thank you for listening, Matt. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. It was awesome talking to you. We don't do this nearly enough where we're FaceTiming or Zooming or whatever. We gotta keep doing that. But I thank you very much for coming on to this episode. It means a lot.
Absolutely, brother. Anytime. I'm happy to help in any way I can. And we might have to do a part two in the future or something. We'll figure something out.
Sounds good to me. Well,
But
everybody, thank you so much for listening. This is AJ Forbes with Matt Masker on the BarnBurner Show. I'll see you next time.